This is Renee Romeo of ReneeRomeo.com. Today you're joining me as I'm teaching you how to paint a wall. Now, I think that this is a Life 101 lesson because I think everybody should know how to paint a wall. It's not that difficult to do, and whether you're a homeowner or an apartment dweller, this is a real life skill. Sometimes you want to paint an accent wall and then you'd like to paint over it the day before you have to move out, which is kind of what I'm doing here. I'm patching up some holes and I'm going ahead and painting over them. Now these have already been primed, so my walls are ready to go, but let's go over some of the things that you need. So I have a paintbrush, my favorite paintbrush, a paint stir stick. Now you're going to get this for free when you purchase your paint at the paint store. I have a roller and I have a roll of tape, and I have a paint tray, my favorite paint tray. Now a couple little additional things. I have a little spout pourer for the paint can, which makes cleanup really easy, and I have a little pry bar for the paint can, especially made for that. Makes it a little bit easier to get the lid off. So whether you have a power screwdriver or a regular hand tool, you need to make sure that you get all your outlet covers off as well as any grate on the wall. I've literally been painting walls since I was 11 years old, so I have a very steady hand by this point in my life. But you know, if you're new to this or you don't have a very steady hand yet, a great thing to use is this blue painter's tape. Now frog tape is green. It's a little more expensive and it really prevents bleed through, but there is a secret to using the blue tape to make sure that it doesn't bleed through as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to take any baseboard or even door casing and you're going to dust it off and make sure that it's nice and dry and clean. And if it needs to be clean, make sure that if you use a damp cloth that you wait for the surface to dry before you adhere the tape. So the tape is going to go right into the corner and you're just going to lay it right on top of that baseboard, making sure that you're kind of following along the existing corner piece where the casing meets the wall. The secret is you're going to use your fingernail and you're going to run your fingernail over the top of it and get that really adhered well, because when that happens, it's going to create a barrier so that the paint that you're painting on the wall doesn't seep underneath it. And here's a nice close-up for you, show you exactly what I'm talking about. There's my nail running over the top of it, and then I'm just going to continue on like this until I get all the way around the room. So as I open this paint can, you'll see the entire area is covered in sheets. Now I don't have actual drop cloths for painters. They're a little bit thicker, and if you think you're going to make a mess, it might be useful for you to purchase, you know, some drop cloths that will prevent anything seeping through to any of the flooring underneath. So I'm up on my little step stool. I have a rag that's slightly damp, and I'm going to go ahead and start cutting this in. Now when you're cutting in, what you're going to wind up doing is you're just going to, in the corners, just take a brush and go up and down along the corners. Now if you're doing an accent wall, you're going to take that blue tape and you're going to tape off whatever surface you don't want paint to get onto. So this is really easy, very quick, and hopefully you can see the difference in colors, because these are really close in color. They're not the exact same color. So I'm just going to go along and I'm going to show you my secret for cutting in along the ceiling, and it's really great. So I've dipped my brush, I've actually scraped off the back side of the brush, and then the front side is the side with paint on it. And so what I'm doing, I'm putting the paint side toward the wall, and I'm just going to cut in along this top edge. Now, where is my eye as I'm doing this? My eye is a little bit forward of the brush, and the reason why I keep my eye a little bit forward of the brush is because your hand tends to follow what your eyes are looking at. So it makes this brushing a lot smoother along that top edge, and it will make it nice and straight. So when you're done, go ahead and feather this out into the wall, and we're going to get all the edges done first, all the way around. Now when it comes to painting the bottom here, you're just going to go ahead and get a little bit of paint on your brush, and honestly you're not going to put a whole lot of paint here and really load it up. You're just putting a thin layer at the edges to make sure it doesn't seep even more underneath that tape. So let's prep the roller. The roller actually is a 9-inch roller. It has 3/8 inch nap and it has tapered edges. Now the edges that are tapered are really important for you, because what's going to wind up happening is as this roller goes over the wall, if you don't have tapered edges, you may get giant lines of paint, and you don't want that. It's really hard to kind of blend all that stuff in, and the tapered edges make it really easy for you to blend one section into the other. So let's just go ahead and put this in place. place. And you know what? I also have a small extension here that I'm just going to screw into the bottom, make it a little bit easier for me to reach the top of the wall. So the number one question is, how much paint do you put on your roller? Well, this is brand new, so it's nice and clean going in, and you'll see my paint is really, really thick. So I've got the whole thing coated pretty well. There's not too much, there's not too little. You really just kind of need to have a medium kind of amount of paint on your roller in order to make a nice swipe on the wall. So the first swipe is always the driest. So here's what I'm going to do here. And I know a lot of people have different techniques for how they actually roll out their paint. But mine, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of overlap onto the areas that I've painted with a paintbrush all along the edges, and kind of just get up in there and being really careful at the ceiling level, just like that. And I'm just going to leave it. So I'm just kind of going up and down. Sometimes people will do W's and all kinds of different crazy configurations. I don't think it's really necessary, because I have a secret for you making a beautiful finish from top to bottom. And here's the secret. So you're just going to take your roller, top to bottom, up and down, overlapping slightly the path before. So you can kind of see here I'm doing this, and I'm feathering out this last little bit so that when my next section goes, it's going to feather beautifully into the next section. And let's get ready to feather this in. Right up the wall, that 3/8 inch taper is helping this not to have a line in between these, and I'm slightly overlapping as I go, and it's really a beautiful finish. Perfect. And I'll feather this out again and continue on. If you're wondering how much pressure I'm putting on the roller, you know, I would say it's a medium pressure, and that medium pressure is just nice and even over the course of the entire roller. Now I'm going to show you how to go around an outlet cover here. So we're just going to go one side, the other side. You notice I'm using the open end of the roller, just getting up nice and close to that outlet, and then along the bottom, do the same thing, nice and close to that baseboard, just like that. And you see I didn't use tape on this side, and it turned out great. So once you get enough experience, you'll be able to do the same thing as me. Well, I just finished painting all the walls, and you'll see I'm starting to remove the blue tape before I even wash a brush or roller. And the reason why is because I don't want the dried paint on the wall to stick to the tape at all. And this is going to prevent that from happening. So before you do anything, right when you get done, take the blue tape off. So I'm starting to clean off the roller, and all I'm doing here is just taking the paint stirrer stick and kind of running it down this roller until I get the majority of the paint off. Now they make specialized little attachments for this where you can actually get all the paint out and only have to clean this slightly, but I don't have one of those, so I do it the old-fashioned way. I'm getting as much paint off this roller as possible, and then it'll make cleanup so much easier. And when I clean it, I clean this roller with some warm soapy water and let it rinse until I don't see any more color of the paint. And then the brush as well, some warm soapy water, and they'll be beautiful and ready to go for your next paint job. Well, this is my best paint job yet. And you know what? As I do it more and more, I get better and better every time. But I've given you all the tools to do it right the first time, so you'll get the same results that I do. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please like, subscribe, share, and follow. And if you have any comments for me, please enter them below and I'll be happy to answer them. And if you're on YouTube, click the little red bell and you can become a subscriber that gets all of my notifications every time I post a new video. This is Renee Romeo of ReneeRomeo.com. Thank you so much for watching.